Mitali, let me bring this to you. Look at those reactions. They don't know how to react. Most of them are just saying that right reciprocal tariff will be levied at an appropriate time. This is unjustified. But the fact of the matter is that you have many of these leaders who are talking about negotiation being the only way forward. Because if Trump wants to pick a fight, Trump wants to begin a war, there's no point in giving in to that. And then continuing with that war. So you can see one is expectations of reciprocal tariffs, and two is a lot of negotiations across the world going forward.
Yeah. So I think, Krishna, this is what he wanted. He wanted to bring, I mean, in one stroke of a pen, he's brought the world's 20, 25 major economies onto the table to say, now talk to me, and I will set the terms, and I will tell you how to, service my market. And to be very honest, I feel like the way the Australian, Prime Minister was speaking about the fact that we have to take a very pragmatic approach to this. This is the way most countries should be thinking about it, and even the UK. Because if you think about it, Australian exports, as he said, is just 5% of the overall basket. I think countries will increasingly think in this manner where they say, let's diversify our export markets. Let's make sure that we are, entering into trade deals not only with the US, but also with other economies, other countries. And if you would have noticed, India is one of the countries which is getting a lot of positive interest from many Western economies, as well as from, the BRICS economies, as well as from, the China-led economies, in that sense of East Asia and China, because everyone realizes the power of the Indian consumer. So I feel like at this point in time, India is poised to actually gain from this trade war, because we can broker our own bilateral trade agreements and bilateral trade negotiations. So it's not only going to be the negotiation with the US for the US market. And the second thing I want to just point out quickly is around the trend of onshoring, right? And if you read the presidential order, he speaks about this, the fact that he wants more and more companies to come and actually reshore and look at re-entering the US market as manufacturers. So if this is the long-term trend, and if he says that, and if you remember one of the statements he had made a few weeks ago, these tariffs are permanent. So once the market factors that in, a lot of manufacturers, say from Japan, from South Korea, from say in the auto sector, or maybe in sectors like steel and aluminium, would start to reshore their operations so that the US content in their value chain increases. They can't fully make it a US made product, but the tariffs are only applicable to the US
Right.
content in your products. So therefore, there might be a lot of reshoring that we'll start to see.
A lot of reshoring. Mitali, stay with us. Shri, the fact of the matter is that how viable is it going to be to reshore and make products again affordable? The whole reason why manufacturing shifted out of the US to so many other countries was because it was you can make products at a lesser price. How easy or how difficult is it going to be competitively manufacturing out of the US?
So, Krishna, the world trade works on a premise of competitive advantage of nations. So, this is what Michael Porter, the Harvard professor, showed that every country is good at certain thing, and that eventually becomes its calling card in the world trade. In the case of India, for example, it's our IT services. We are very good at that. In the case of China, it was manufacturing. So, there's a reason why some countries excel because they put in a disproportionate, they have certain natural advantages. And then in terms of government policy, there is a certain emphasis on making that the centerpiece of their growth. Uh, so Mr. Trump's idea with these higher tariffs is essentially one part definitely is to bring back manufacturing into the US. Because one of the grouses that Mr. Trump has is that over the decades, the US has literally outsourced manufacturing to China and other parts of the world. So he's trying to bring back manufacturing into the US. Um, so will that happen overnight? Absolutely not. It will take years. It'll take 3, 4 years before some manufacturing starts coming back into US. Now, this also goes back to my previous point. I mean, US is at the forefront of innovation. It's the world's largest economy, the superpower for a good reason, because it has always believed in the efficiency of its markets, right? It's a free economy. Now, if higher tariffs were to create artificial protection and barriers for manufacturing that gets set up in the US, then again, it goes back to the same problem that many other countries face with higher tariffs, that their industries are not really competitive. They become lazy. They, feel there's no need to innovate. There's no competitive pressure on them to keep on improving.
Right.
So will
Shri,
that become a norm for US? The other point which I want to make, Krishna, is that while the drama that played out on Rose Garden yesterday is front and square, I think there's a bigger drama that's playing out behind the curtains, which is like how this is going to reset global trade going ahead. Mitali talked about India-US bilateral trade. I think that is now going to become the norm. In some sense, Mr. Trump is giving up the US's role as the country that has set the world trade order, at least for about 100 years now. And now what we're going to witness is that each of these large countries and blocs, for example, European Union, China, there will be a reconfiguration of these trade agreements, bilateral trade agreements, and you will see that some of these countries which were probably still looking at US as the anchor person or the anchor country for the trade piece will start looking at other countries, and we will see that US's importance in global trade will start coming down. So that's another risk which US runs with these tariffs.
right. Shri, stay with us. Before I know I go forward, just want to quickly ask you a question. The one doubt in my head is the fact that is wage costs. Shri, the fact of the matter is that manufacturing got outsourced to so many countries because you could find cheaper wage costs. Whereas and not that they're as cheap as they were say 20 years ago, but the fact of the matter is that the wage costs in the US is so high it automatically pushes up the average making price of every single product.
So definitely there'll be some high-tech manufacturing that comes back to US first, Krishna. I don't think US wants to start making plastic buckets and shoes and low value-added items. So in high value-added industries, your labor component is relatively small. These are high-tech industries with a lot of automation, which US excels in. So I think when President Trump is talking about manufacturing, he's talking about high-tech car manufacturing, semiconductor manufacturing, a lot of the newer, biomedical and bio material manufacturing to come back to the US. But yes, your point is right, especially with the focus on pushing out illegal immigrants. If you push out illegal immigrants who are working in the US labor market right now, if their number drops and then you also then bring in newer companies that want to hire laborers, obviously that's going to jack up wages in the US economy, and that's also going to push up consumer prices in the market, because once people have more money, they're going to be spending more, and that's going to cause inflation once again.